relationships has been such an interesting topic. Not when we were children, but as we grow up to know that our hearts mean a lot to us. And what could we do to prevent breakups, divorces, anything that's related to pain? We do our best to try to avoid those areas. And so therefore we educate ourselves. And there's nothing wrong with educating yourself. I promote that 100%. So why am I talking about waiting on your future spouse? It's because just as there are those who see that there is an increasing rate of wickedness throughout our age, throughout our nation, and just even on the news feed of social media platforms, that there is also an increasing rate of laziness amongst believers. Why? Because we live in a virtual age where everything is technical right now. I mean, how easy things are for you to order something in a package to be shipped to your house the next couple of days. That you can even make thousands of dollars and even close to millions just by working online. It's simply easy to just get what we want right then and there. And the word patience can be very foreign to us. Yeah, I know I'm wearing this shirt. Forgive me. That look like Wolverine scratched me across the chest. No, it's just a style. Can't even zip this. No. But patience can be a foreign thing to us because we are now programmed to get it here and get it now, just by a click of a button. I mean, back in the day, me and you know, especially those who are in their 30s and born before us, 40s and 50s, you know how it was dating. Back in the day, you used to sing just to get a girlfriend. Yeah, y'all really had a connection where y'all was so social that there was no time to be on each other's phones because it wasn't even invented by then, especially cell phones, that is. And if it was a huge Motorola. How easy it was for dating. It was so possible that you can just go outside and just talk to someone back in the 40s and 50s and 60s and 70s and so forth. But we live in an age where everything is so technological advanced that we can just swipe left or right within the click of a button. That we don't even have to know the person just to be social. Their program or their bio is just right in front of you. That we even have Facebook. When you look at the word Facebook, it means a lot. Your face is literally on a book. Therefore, you can go to someone's page and just read their entire history, where they work at, where they're from. The things that they post, the things that they share or upload will tell you much about their life. Facebook. What happened to the days or writing love letters when you were in school? Do you like me? You want to go out with me? Yes or no? That was like the first instant text messages. But now it's just so easy that people have become lazy. Where all that come from? While you're waiting for your future spouse, you can start being productive with the gifts that you have. How can I say this? Your gifts should be your passion. And your passion should lead you to be productive. Just think about that. Your gifts is your passion, and your passion should lead you to be productive. Even if it's just online graphics or just maybe customizing a website for your cooking class that you should have in the future. Or even if it's just working out or having a meal plan to share with people online throughout the world. You're actually doing something. Or even if it's just ordering a book from the library, even buying one and just actually taking notes or even memorizing scripture. That's something that I started to teach myself years ago. It wasn't for the benefit of any one of you, because I never thought that I was actually going to do this. But it was for myself, just in case I come across someone and they needed help knowing a verse, or if they were simply deceived by what someone said, I can easily show them in the scriptures. It was never to show out. It never was. I didn't want to have a ministry based on beauty. I didn't want to have a ministry based on what I know or what I think is right. But I wanted to be blessed by God, from Him, for Him, and through Him. And throughout all these maybe 300 videos that I have on here. People are still learning from something to make it easier for them, that they don't have to go through what I've been through, even in relationships. Countless times you maybe heard someone dealing with a narcissistic person or a controlling individual, or someone who's simply taking advantage of someone, or how they were treated, but they never really exposed themselves on the things that they have done in their life. Although they remember the hurt that someone put them through, you should not have amnesia and think that you also was a perfect person, because you have also done the same. Therefore, remember the hurt that you also put other people through, and just do your best not to do it again. Therefore, we should not forget our past. Even though I forgive them and myself, I release the tension, but I also know where my weaknesses is. And this is something that I want to share with you, is the keys to not just be successful in your life or your relationship, but this is the keys here, is to know your weaknesses before you actually get involved. You know, you look at the word X, it's not to really X them out of your life. I know I said this before, but these are for those who are actually new to my page, and I welcome you. X actually means an example of what you used to have or what you used to go through. And those people are considered your brothers and sisters in Christ. They're not your enemies, and they should not be treated as such. And even those they may have done wrong to you, you got to release them, because you can't bring old baggage into a new home. It will overcrowd your mind, and you will simply be unstable. Matter of fact, in the book of James, it says that a double-minded person is unstable in all their ways. Have you ever decided to do something, but yet your feelings tell you another thing? Or your mind is telling you should do this, but yet your heart will want to do something else? That your mind is so cloudy into something that you don't have no form of righteous judgment. You may be the kind of woman or the kind of person or man that you've done the right things in a relationship, but you did it to the wrong person. I'm pretty sure you have heard a term called good girls gone bad. I know this happened a lot amongst women. That was because we hear it often, that they did the right thing to the wrong guy, and yet in return, they suffocated themselves with a lack of energy, a lack of motivation. They lost all their happiness. Now understand where that comes from. That you did the right thing and no one can blame you, but yet you were taken advantage of. This goes for both women and men. I have seen some like that growing up, but never understood why some people were so bitter, or why they were so angry and hostile to a person of the opposite sex. And sometimes that leads someone to even start dating in a bisexual relationship. Man and man, woman and woman. So therefore they go with someone that they easily can join together, because of the same sex you get to understand each other easily. And not just that, but even know each other's body. Therefore you know what to touch, what not to touch. You know what the trigger points is. I'm not going to go into that sexual talk, but you get what I'm saying. You understand it. We live in an age right now where everything is so accepted. An age of acceptance. I know I did a video on that, and I spoke about many things in that video. But while you're waiting, do something with your life. In the account that we need love to grow, it is true. We do need love to grow. Again, I spoke about this before in a video, and for those who are new, I welcome you. In the scriptures in 1 John chapter 4, it says that God is love. When God spoke everything into existence in Genesis chapter 1, let there be light, let dry ground appear, let there be birds in the air. He didn't say that when it came to human beings. We were actually God's first touch. Whatever God touches, it's a part of Him in that person. That's why things were made in the image and in the likeness of God. Not creatures, but with man and man alone. We are formed by love, touched by love. And in the same way, we need love. Why do you think that when something bad happens in our life, even as a child, they always go to where they're loved? You can be so further away from God, and it's like sometimes He'll allow things to happen to you so you can come back to your first love, which is Him. Sometimes that's why we shouldn't blame God on why bad things happen in our life, because maybe that's just one of the signs that we need to come back to Him. And trust me, for those who have the secular mindset, know this, that sometimes pain is a great motivator. Because when you are hurt, it motivates you to go back to where you need to go first, and that's to the Father. Even though we have psychiatrists, psychologists, we have mental health programs, we have all these things that we can benefit from in our nature. But going to the Creator is the best thing that we can do, because He does not just work on our surface, but our soul. Many of us have to release the past. Many of us have to. Because we can't bring on the burdens and the baggage into a new relationship, especially if we are damaged within ourselves, because we will start to cut that person. And we will start to bruise that person just as if we are being mirrored the same way. I have been in a relationship where someone was hurt. Even though I was whole, they was hurt. And later on, they started to hurt me, just as they are hurt. They was just simply reflecting off of the pain upon me, and I didn't deserve it. But yet I had the understanding of why and try to minister to that person. So I understand why these things happen. And knowing that balance should be a number one priority, and so is holiness. Therefore, we cannot simply jump into a relationship after we are being broken, because we need time to heal. No matter how much you have a desire to be loved, no matter the desire that you have to be close to someone, you can easily hurt them. You know, sometimes a broken relationship is like broken glass, and when you decide to really put it together, you actually cut yourselves. Sometimes you gotta let God do His course. And sometimes He can even bring a friend by, not for you to get with, but to actually allow them to help you. I have seen this happen often with my own case, where I was friends with different people and just helped them move on in their life. They were broken. By God's love, it just maybe used me to support them, be an asset to their life for a certain season. Now they're actually married, and they have kids now. And therefore we depart ways in peace. It's like a stepping stone thing, if you really understand what I'm saying. Maybe some of these videos don't really speak to you in a way, then so let it be. If you got other fans and followers and friends, just pay attention to what they're saying. Maybe they're helping you in a way, but this message is for those who are really in need of it while you're waiting. To be productive in your life. Know what love is. Know what your weaknesses is. Your weaknesses tells a lot about you. And sometimes even in relationships, it brings the best and the worst out of you. You may not know that you were a fighter. You may not know if you were a passive individual unless you actually got involved. Maybe you didn't know that you were abusive or controlling. Maybe you didn't know that you had a trusting problem. Or maybe you didn't know that your communication is on a level where it needs to grow. Therefore, know your weaknesses. What are you afraid of? What could I do better? These are simply tools of self-help. And these are things that I personally learned myself just by reading to know who I am. And all that stuff really came from God. Though the scriptures gave me much wisdom and much revelation, it's like He would lead me to different people's lives and stories to read certain things, to educate myself in a way that I can actually teach others. But at first I had to teach to myself by applying those words to myself. And being able to see myself achieve in helping one another. Maybe you are really waiting for someone special. Maybe you are in a moment of growth, or I should say a period of growth. Then just use this time wisely to really bless yourselves. There's nothing wrong helping yourself. There's nothing wrong with that. Don't consider it selfish. It never is selfish to help yourself. It never is. We all been touched by God. And the Creator has given us the gift of creativity. And that creativity actually allows us to be productive. But don't just forget about educating yourself in a way that you can at least turn the phones off and actually read something, study something, work out your gifts, your plans, work out your future. Better yourselves before you become better to someone else that may not be better for you. I know that sounds confusing, but I want you to think about it. Be better for yourself first before you become better to someone else that can easily take advantage of you. Spiritual growth is of much importance in our life. But we also should know that we have a three-dimensional body, I should say. Of course, our body is 3D, but we have body, we have a soul, and we have a spirit. And we should do our best to exercise all areas of our lives. All areas of our lives. We should be able to train our body. And even though bodily training is good, godliness is of more value. And that's in 1 Timothy chapter 4, verse 8. We have a mind that we need to take care of. Our emotional healing, our mental healing. Things that can easily trigger us, we need to learn how to let go. Sometimes prayer does help. Sometimes really the easiest thing that we can do is give our problems to God. And just ask Him, just tell Him what we need so that we can gain an advantage of being successful in our life and not be triggered by the past or the things that may come up in our past. When you were young, you didn't have these problems. You didn't. You just lived your life. You can be the happy-go-lucky kid. Don't have to worry about nothing. When you were young, you didn't have to worry about paying no bills or working a job. Food was on the table, games, and all that stuff was there for you. But then when you got older, it's like, man, I wish I was a kid again. I gotta work, gotta pay bills, all this responsibility, but life does have a way of just creeping upon us and teaching us a very valuable lesson. But we have to learn how to be strong in every area of our life. We have to be strong. Spiritual strength that comes from being one-on-one with the Father. Remember, you can be so mentally prepared, you can be so physically in shape, but your spirit can be so weak that whenever something does happen and we don't know what to do. But yet the scriptures, especially in the book of Proverbs, it teaches us to be prepared. Book of wisdom. Back in the day, years ago, I used to have the mind of I'm not going to read the Old Testament. That's old. That's not relevant to me right now. But God had to simply break that away from me lightly. He rebuked me lightly. And therefore, when I start to read the Old Testament, I was just drawn to it. And I'm looking like, whoa, I repented. So I repented from that. I'm like, I'm so sorry. I did not know. But I start to see more of Jesus. Well, not more, but I've seen a lot of Jesus in the Old Testament just as I have read in the New. Especially when you read, Isaiah chapter 53, Psalms chapter 22. Those are just two of many chapters that speak about Jesus. And I was just surprised to know that His life was prophesied way before He even came. It's very easy to be a preacher. Any one of us can make a page, can make a channel, and just start talking about the gospel. And to be honest with you, we all can do it. We all are considered preachers right now in this day and age. But I'm pretty sure that me and you can agree that we already have enough preachers as we do now. And there's nothing wrong with preaching. There's nothing wrong with that. But maybe you are at the level of just wanting to do more than just preaching, but actually wanting to go out and heal people, to raise the dead, to go into the hospitals and clear each and every last room out that people are walking out of the hospitals. Maybe that is something that your mind is on. And trust me, you're not in this alone. And I believe that time will come, that we will start to see the manifestation of the glory of God. It's like the heavens are opening and He's just pouring upon the earth those that He trusts, who are willing to serve Him in a greater aspect in life, in a greater way. Not just by preaching, but knowing that signs and wonders will follow, that you are able to perform these things. Matter of fact, when you can actually go to, 1 Corinthians chapter 12, I believe starting at verse 7, it speaks about 9 spiritual gifts, and one of them is working miraculous wonders, or having the gift of miracles, right? And then the other one is, the gift of healing. So those two things, can you just imagine that? I have seen some before, and not to brag or boast, all glory to God on this, but I actually performed some of those things. And not knowing what I was doing. I never knew this was in the Bible. I was like, well, Jesus' name is powerful, so I'm gonna use his name to heal this person, and it actually happened. I'm like, I was just so intrigued with these miracles. I'm looking like, well, if Peter, Paul, and the disciples did it and everybody else couldn't do it, then I'm pretty sure I can do the same thing. And just went out and started walking on faith. That's it, just start walking on faith. And that's what happened. And I know that I'm not trying to get off a subject here, but while you're waiting for your spouse, educate yourself. Start getting into things that you can benefit from. I want you to think about something. Think about your spouse want to take you hiking. And when you go hiking, you don't know what to expect. Maybe there's some mountain lions going to be around. Nothing like that, but what if you're not even physically in shape to actually go up? Within maybe 3 feet, you're already tired, breathing hard. Would you think that'd be embarrassing for you? Pretty sure your spouse will have patience with you. But just knowing that if you are single now, work on your body. I don't really know a lot of you personally. But if you know that's a weakness right now, you can build yourself up. That you can start to burn fat easily. That you don't have to carry so much weight when you're actually treading upon life, when you're walking, when you're hiking. And the same weight can be also used in the mind. That you don't have to feel so depressed or afraid when somebody comes around. Start off as being friends. And that's a mistake that I have done. That I just simply rushed into it and was afraid of the outcome, that anybody would come around and would take the woman from me, and I had started getting so defensive, which was a true story, yes. And kind of became an intimidating person, but that wasn't the nature that God gave me. Should have had not just clarity, but trust. And maybe that's probably what your weakness is too. Maybe just afraid of trusting someone. That whenever they come into your life, you think that they're going to just betray you or forsake you. But I'll tell you the truth, something that I learned myself, is that when you put your heart and trust in God to the point where just in case that do happen, you would not be afraid anymore. That's why you have to start off being friends and not so attached. Don't get so attached to people. Maybe your heart is just so filled with warmth. Your heart is so filled with closeness, and that whoever comes around that you think they can actually be the one probably isn't. Maybe they are there as angels just in the flesh to be friends with you, to assist you, that can actually bless you in your life. We are all learning. We are all on teams here. Therefore, do not be jealous of someone's ministry. Do not compare yourself just because someone has many subscribers or many likes to you or many comments, or how they can add to your ministry, or the things that they can say to lift up your ego. Ministry is not about self. It's not. Pride is, but not ministry. We all have different gifts and different talents, but we all serve the same Lord. Just because you may be inspired or motivated by someone doesn't mean that you should transform yourself into their image. Me and James spoke about that. It's to really take on not just a form of someone that you're with, but develop a common interest. You may not like it at first, trust me. But when you start to get that joy that they have, man, it can build into something great. It's like you're adding on the newness of something. And just because they do it, it's like, I don't want to do it, that's not my thing. You don't know unless you try it. I want you to realize that when you do get your spouse, and there may be things that they do differently. Maybe they do different activities. Maybe they like bowling and that's not your thing. Maybe they like playing pool and that's not your thing, or darts. Or maybe it's just car racing games or arcades, or maybe it's just skydiving. Well, we're going to leave that alone for now, because that's a big thing. Big decision to make. But then again, just do something different, and that brings on something great while you're waiting for that person. Just build yourself up in the confidence of knowing that I'm going to be ready. And who knows, maybe you probably get the one that does the same thing like you, same interest like you. then develop new interests. Develop new things. I went kayaking once. Man, I don't know about that. I'm sorry, I don't know about that. That's something. You really have to be balanced. I'm seriously, like, being balanced. I was afraid once, right? And I'm gonna be short with this, but I'm looking around and I realized when I turned around, my whole body turned around. I felt myself going sideways. I mean, I thought I was on the Titanic. I'm like, nah. So I just, so I was trying to like roll, you know what I'm saying, to take the boat back, and I realized I'm not going anywhere. So I had to. It's a little scoop thing. You have to. It's a long story, but it was fun to me. But it was afraid, and I didn't know how deep the water is. And this was in Milwaukee at the time. So I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna just try to maybe do it in like 2 feet water, so I can be safe. If I do flip over, you know, I can just put my hand down and stand back up and be balanced. But it was something new. And when you start to engage in things new, and when you start to practice that now, you can at least be prepared. And it actually builds something. It builds an experience in your life. Like, I tried this, I did this, I went to this festival, I went to that concert, or I played this instrument, or I start writing on this book, or start filming movies and things like that, or whatever common interest you have, try to engage in something a little bit different. Maybe you're not the musical kind of person or a cook. Maybe just try to do something different in that area, that when you do get your spouse, who knows, maybe you can just surprise them with the meal and just, okay, I'll tell you this, like, you know, you want to surprise your spouse, right? And what you do is you buy something and then rip the tag off and present it to them. And then, no, I'm playing, I'm joking, but that's cheating like a mother, and the spouse going to the trash can. What is this? You know, you can't explain it, but no, I'm okay, for real. But yeah, just, I know I said enough today. Pretty sure I got more to say later, but learn something. Even learning a language is something great. Let's say if you have plans to go to Italy or Russia, Argentina, Jamaica, well, it may speak Patois, but no, any other country or something, and just learning just little greetings and saving up for a trip, you know, to take each other, or going on a honeymoon that you can relate to other, you know, people that's there in the town. It's something new, something fun. I remember that I was kind of uncomfortable at doing a lot of things because I didn't want to do it. But it was like God was kind of like edging me on one period in life. And I wanted to try this now. I wanted to do this and I wanted to do that. And in the beginning, I didn't want to, but it's like I just happened to just go out there and just do it. And I was like, I really actually had some fun where I created a memory. And whenever these events or attractions come up, it's like I actually experienced that before. And I smile every time I think about it. It's just something new. There's nothing wrong in that. And learning the person that you're with. We live in a westernized society where it's like a melting pot. But let's just say that your spouse is from a different country. They come from a different culture and a background. They can have the same belief and values, but maybe it's a little bit different than how the way you were raised. Receive the information from them and ask them questions. Like I said, it's being friends at first. Again, I made the mistake in just not doing that, but simply rushing into it. And not a good idea. So being friends at first. Let's say you're an American person and your spouse is probably from Asia or Europe or anywhere, Australia or from the moon, anywhere. You can't look at them as someone that you have dated in the past because they are not them. You can probably see the same traits and qualities, but they're not them. So just prepare yourself and to ask questions. And as what an older man told me years ago, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. Because you don't want to come off too strong. Some people just have that presence about themselves that they just seem maybe demanding, or it's like wherever they go, it's like they demand respect. And maybe that's not just their attitude, but just how they are. Let's first be honest with ourselves. And even telling the person, like, hey, what should I work on? Especially when you're actually getting involved with each other. Some people don't like the word dating, or some people go with the Christian the Christian word, what's that? Courting. I understand that there is a lot of differences, but some people don't understand that. Remember, we are still learning. Just like some guys don't know that in the scripture where it says, those who find a wife finds a good thing and receives favor from the Lord. A lot of men don't know that. A lot of men are waiting for God to deliver their spouse, just like women are. You know what I'm saying? So just imagine you got a male and a female, and it's like they're telling a guy, I'm waiting for the spouse that you're going to bring to me, Lord. It's like, it's like this, you know what I'm saying? Then maybe God would inspire them to actually get out of their comfort zone and come together. I'm just saying, like doing something different. Who knows that you may actually meet that person right there in the middle. We can agree that there are two priorities that is actually on women's list, and that is faithfulness and commitment. And for men, it's attitude and respect. We are looking for those things. And women, y'all know that y'all looking for those things too. And once we're able to really fulfill ourselves in the desire that we can be a husband to you and that you can actually be a wife to us, it doesn't just make it better, but it makes it beautiful. The topic of marriage or even seeking a future spouse isn't of the devil. It's a necessity because many of us have a desire to be married. There's nothing wrong with that. That's simply natural. But going about it in a better way, not just professionally, but promoting a promising future from God alone, that's something that we need to discuss. Because we can have the right desire, but have it with the wrong person. And I know far too often we've seen this mistake happen. And it occurred a lot. And maybe you have been a prime example of exactly what I'm talking about. That you wasted years with someone that wasn't even worth it. But God is a helping hand. And I know that He's teaching you. I know that He's showing you the way for you to understand these signs. That you don't have to go through these things ever again. But He has given you wisdom too. Wisdom to shine revelation on everything or every person that you are currently with or even has as a friend. And just taking things slow and putting Him first is all that we can do right now. But He gave that desire to you, that it belongs to you, that gift belongs to you, that He soon will deliver right before you. And when I say before you, is that maybe He's going to make y'all meet together spontaneously without you even knowing. Sometimes you can meet that person online, but again, I advise you to be very careful on that. Sometimes you may have heard it as a prophecy in church or someone told you. Again, although scripture tells us despise not prophecy, we must really bring that before God, because anybody can say anything, but only God can actually reveal that truth. The God of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, the God of Daniel, David, and Moses still speak. And if He's your God, and sure enough, He will even show you the truth Himself. But as I was discussing that it's a necessity, that means that it's a blessing to your life, like water. We all need water. Even though Jesus is the water of life, it's what we need, both for the body and also for the spirit. So if you are thirsty, simply going to the fountain to satisfy your thirst is good. But then waiting on Jesus to give you a cup of water could be a little bit different. So know that it's a necessity, that it is a need. But we're not going to put marriage as if it's an idol or your future spouse as if it's a god, because it's not. And maybe we have made that into an idol because that's something that we truly want. Maybe you're just anticipating on getting it there. Whatever guy comes around new, or every woman that comes around can be the right one. We have to be careful because we cannot afford to waste time and make mistakes. So bringing things before God is something that we have to remember ourselves, regardless of who that person is. Your attitude will always shape your behavior. And if we find out that our behavior is just so nasty, that our behavior is just filled with such disgust, then we need to look at the root of the problem, and that is the attitude. And when you find this out, when you find out you have this problem, what you can do is go to God personally before Him, or even ask someone that you can trust to pray for you, to have a godly attitude, to have a beautiful mindset, a mind that is filled with life and peace and of the Holy Spirit, because we can't afford having a wrong attitude, and then it brings to us a bitter behavior. It is not right. I'm pretty sure you ladies, males too, have read the story of Ruth. But that word submitting to a man, what Ruth did, sometimes that word isn't the topic of discussion amongst women today. Not saying all, but some. Submission is not to say a woman should be a servitude to the man. Submission just means respect. It means yielding under. Not that you are simply made below us, but biology, spiritually speaking, you are actually made from the side of man, because that's where you belong, not below us. We have the responsibility of covering you. It is our priority, and trust me, God has given us much, that we have to understand you. We have to know you. We have to protect you. We have to love you. We have to put you in front of our own family. That means that a man should leave his mother and father and be joined to you. Therefore, we have to leave the past alone. The only thing y'all have to do is just respect us, and that just means submit. And respect doesn't show that we are establishing dominance. We don't use that to build our ego. We use that to build our relationship with you. That y'all are always protected, y'all are always loved. And time is of very importance, and not just that time alone, but also understanding. How many divorced couples you know can still say to one another that they do have love, or they do love one another, they just couldn't be with them. So that's obviously proof that love does not keep people together. Understanding do. And the key to understanding is communication. How is it easy for women of different cultures, like those who are in Africa, the Middle East, Asia, or South Pacific Islands, anywhere, etc., it's anywhere. How is it easy for them to maintain a happy marriage? It's because they know the role to play in each other's life. And so if we look at biblical traditions as being old and foolish and we toss that out, we are accepting a new doctrine that is from the devils. I must include that these individuals, people of different cultures who uphold their tradition, they have a healthy relationship that lasts a lifetime. While breakups on this side of the world occurs very often. You know, getting things early can really hurt us. If you have a child and you decide to tell your child to go drive a car, he's going to definitely crash into something and even hurt himself. But if you teach him as he grows older until he's able to get his license and tall enough and able to know about the roads and the signs, to know about oil change and engines, then he's able to be responsible and know how to drive, and he can be independent behind the vehicle. And sometimes when we get things too early, we're not prepared for it. And that can leave a devastating effect in our lives. Could you just imagine this right here. Just imagine it. Your friend accepts the fact that you're engaged. And he or she actually blesses your relationship with gifts, with trips for you to both go on. Just because they're your friend. We welcome friendships as a primary opportunity for growth and blessings. But there's also a line that should never be crossed, because it can lead to cheating or even an attachment that can eventually erupt. And then you're looking for a way to escape. That person there can become a side piece. So you have to know your role. And those who are in your life should also know that too. So use this time wisely. I know that many of you can agree that if you are simply waiting for your future spouse, we can prepare ourselves for it. While you're waiting, be productive. Try something new. Learn something fun. Create an experience of a lifetime. I know I'm sounding like a cheesy advertisement that you get from like a YouTube ad, you know, like I'm selling something. But just think about it. I want you guys to take care of yourselves. I mean that, right? I love you all. Water start going in my boat, man. This is scary. Oh, for the crash. Oh, Lord. Oh, Lord.